Hi everyone, Triumphany Cartano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of a classic album because it's Classics Week! Kate Bush is an English singer, songwriter, and producer who has been dropping albums since the late 70s and has seen incredible success across the length of her career. From her debut single, Wuthering Heights, which was a #1 single in the UK and dropped when Kate was still a teen, to her latest full-length album, 50 Words for Snow, which was very well received and came out not too long ago. Kate is one of those artists who's miraculously been able to attain mainstream success while also pleasing very discerning music fans. And on top of all of it, crafting a distinct sound that has made her one of modern music's most praised voices. Her music is highly influential even today thanks to her fantastic songwriting as well as her pioneering in art pop and baroque pop. And some of her greatest and most timeless ideas turn up here on her 1985 album Hounds of Love, a record loaded with lofty and dramatic ideas. But surprisingly, the songs still stay very direct, instantaneous, visceral, catchy. Much of the material on this record is incredibly pleasing on first listen. This isn't really a record you need to sit with and repeat time and time again in order to get it. Though more listens do reveal more beautiful details in the lyrics and the instrumentation, but this album's explosive lovability is thanks in part to the first half's immense singles. Big Sky, the title track, Running Up That Hill, as well as Cloudbusting. But the second half of this LP, titled something else entirely, The Ninth Wave, feels like a different project entirely. And what begins this suite of songs is sort of like a musical dream sequence. Kate even says in the lyrics she can't be left alone with her imagination because it seems like she's haunted by lingering memories and pretty disturbing nightmares in the following tracks. A lot of the songs on this half of the record are kind of stirring, occasionally surreal, lyrically and sonically. Some of the experimentation here is quite jarring and, in my opinion, kind of a precursor to a lot of what would occur on records from Bjork and The Knife years down the road. Kate even pulls from Celtic music on the incredibly lush Jig of Life. So not only is Hounds of Love a strange, diverse, and beautiful record, but it's also a payoff that came after an initial risk from Kate. Kate's previous LP, The Dreaming, an enjoyable album but not really her most successful commercially, was the first time she tried to take on production duties all on her own. Some of the mixing on this record was a little odd. Kate's vocals were incredibly loud on some songs, and instrumentally this set of songs was a little more skeletal than her previous work. Less extravagant than some of the music on her previous record, especially considering on that album landed songs like Babushka. And the song Violin, to another Kate Bush song I'm just head over heels for, especially due to the progressive rock influence on that track, which isn't too big of a surprise considering that David Gilmour of Pink Floyd was an early and huge supporter of Kate's music career. So taking the experience from The Dreaming and now working with a series of engineers and fantastic session musicians, one of which is her brother, Kate really comes through with an undeniable hit, commercially and artistically. And she also makes sure to embrace the blossoming world of synth pop on this record too, with some really bold hooks and very prominent keyboards on a lot of the cuts here. There is more arranged instrumentation too. In comparison with The Dreaming, this LP is so much more lush. Take into account all the multi-tracked vocals on the song Big Sky, which makes that track just feel huge. Hounds of Love really helped Kate gain that international audience that she still maintains today, even with incredibly minimal touring and live performances, because in the case of Kate Bush, the music is really all you need. Running Up That Hill, incredible opener for this record. Epic, galloping rhythm that kicks this song off. The kind of a rhythm that wouldn't be too unfamiliar to someone who was listening to new wave and synth pop, but Kate really does this rhythm one better, with some really thunderous percussion on the hook, and I love the way Kate's voice just juts into the instrumental as if she's attacking it as she's singing. And from what I can hear in this track, she seems to be singing about two lovers, one of whom the protagonist here really wishes to make a deal with God in order to have the other, the significant other, sort of understand our protagonist's point of view, what she's going through, just to come to some kind of better understanding, which seems like a very simple desire, but the way Kate approaches the song lyrically with such poetic words and instrumentally, she makes this wish seem so grand and so urgent, so huge. On the title track to this LP, Kate's voice just sticks out once again. There's kind of a very sharp reverb, as if she recorded her vocals in like a stone hallway or something. She's like a vocal ray of light just shining brightly right in your face in the midst of very urgent string sections, airy synths, and a very spacious, expressive drum beat. But my favorite single on side A of this LP has to be Cloudbusting, which is hands down one of the best Baroque pop songs ever. Just some simple strings playing the chords of the song, a very stripped back drum beat, and a vocal melody. This track doesn't need much more to make it fantastic because the writing is just that good. The vocal melody is so amazing. Kate's singing is incredibly dramatic, but she doesn't take away from the catchiness of the song by just overdoing it. And even while holding back, her singing is still a very emotional experience. In the lyrics of this song, there's a real sense of anticipation. The second half of this record, as I said earlier, really is its own beast. It's a very abstract and what I interpret to be a kind of personal set of tracks, starting with a very dreamy, reflective intro, and the following track, Under the Ice, feels like the initial entrance into the dreamscape. Later down the line, the Jig of Life has some really boisterous strings, a really determined drum beat. It's not a single, but every bit as thrilling as many of the cuts on the first half. I love the acoustic direction the instrumental takes on this track, and Kate's singing on this song is just the definition of conviction. Then there's the sonically disturbing Waking the Witch. Very few musicians, and Lustmord is one of them, create sounds that to me are literally frightening, and Kate Bush is one of those artists in this case. The loud sound effects and the choppy, weird vocals that enter into the track at one point and seem to be kind of a theme on this half of the record, which might seem like another memory calling her to another part of this dream state, or maybe even real life trying to pull her out of this dream state entirely. I'm not totally sure, but it's, really a weird, disturbing thing. Other voices and singers actually play a pretty significant role on this half of the record, as if Kate is playing the lead role in some kind of Inception-like musical journey. One of the final tracks on this half of the record, Hello Earth, actually seems kind of musical theater inspired, with its huge group chorus and pit orchestra inspired instrumentation that kind of segues the song from one part to another. And Kate, unlike some other people who also try to go down this direction, can give that musical theater-like presentation while also maintaining that intimate passion that you should feel with a singer-songwriter. This track really coasts down, fades out, and disintegrates very slowly. It kind of feels like the very end of the movie on this half of the album. And then the closing track, The Morning Fog, kind of feels like Kate waking up from all of these dreams, with some very sensual, soft vocals, what sounds like some slinky, fretless bass, and some violins too. Kate seems to be kind of frightened by what happened and talking about telling her loved ones that she loves them. The song ends a little abruptly, and I think that's because there's really not that much more to say. It seems kind of like a Wizard of Oz, Judy Garland kind of waking up from the fantasy land kind of moment. And you were there, and you were there, and no, you weren't there. You weren't there at all. But you were there. Hounds of Love, Ninth Wave, really a fantastic set of songs. Great detail, great writing, incredibly catchy, especially on the first half, and then the second half on here, a little more long-winded, but Kate makes use of the space to create something really beautiful and sometimes disturbing in a few cases. And no matter what side of that she's exploring, you're always going to be in for something that is loaded with immense emotion. I think you should give this record a listen if you haven't already, but if you have, good on you. And I hope you enjoy this album as much as me. And I love you. Transition. If you've given this record a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Kate Bush, Hounds of Love. Classics Week, forever.